Welcome to the Easy Speak Speakeasy.
You've unlocked the door to unfiltered mental health and wellness conversations.
Go shorty, it's your birthday. We gon' party like it's your birthday.
Oh my God.
Easy Speak 1 year birthday. Woohoo! We made it, baby.
We did.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Okay. We have so much to talk about, but I have to reflect on the fact that a year, but even prior to that, we had talked about doing a podcast like 2 weeks after we met. I was thinking about this the other day. 2 weeks after we met, there was this amazing opportunity for women of color to go and do this like intensive podcasting institute, I think in like New York City.
Oh, yeah,
do you remember?
Yep.
And I was like, I had just met Chrissy. I was like, do you consider yourself a woman of color? She's so ambiguous looking. And I was like, the curly hair and the green eyes is throwing me off. Like, what's happening? And you were like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I was like, Cape Verde, these islands off West Africa, baby. Let's do it.
Let's do it. We didn't end up doing it, but like I feel like we talked about podcasting for so long and manifested it for so long before we actually had all the pieces together to make it happen. So I'm just so grateful and so excited that we actually made it happen. And now we're a year in and we had how many episodes? Do we know?
A milli. No. We had 26.
26 episodes in a year. Yes, that makes sense because we did bi-weekly episodes. And we talked about so many different things across the mental health spectrum. And we had fun the whole time.
Also, shout out to our consistency.
Yes.
Exactly 26 episodes.
That's half.
Our bi-weekly posting. Hello.
Killing it.
It is not easy to keep up with the consistency.
It's not, especially because podcast is not all that we do.
Yeah, we're
like,
doing all the things.
Some people just podcast.
I would love to just podcast. Like that would be a goal. I'm gonna lie.
That would be amazing.
I love doing the podcast.
I do too. It's been such a fun creative outlet and just like so fun.
Yeah.
That was
there's like an atmospheric river happening with us, and Pluto is moving into Aquarius, so this is like the perfect time to
It's the age of Aquarius?
Yes. Water.
Yes.
This is the time to be manifesting. It's going to be the next 20 years is going to be all about social interactions.
Ooh.
And I know. Get your social. You need to like get a brand new social battery. You and your social battery
anyone
situation
out there knows where I can get a brand new one, holla at me.
And if you see that battery, you better holla at me.
Holla at me. Send the funds too.
And we've met amazing people that support our vision along the way.
It's true.
Like everybody on our team that helps us.
Oh my God.
To get this done. People who are with us, who aren't with us anymore. Like they've just been like all of the right pieces have like come along over this year. And it's like meant to be.
It's so true. Like I was just thinking, because we just did our reaction video that anyone who's listening now probably has seen. But
and if you haven't, go check that out.
Go check it out.
It's a banger.
It's hilarious. Yeah. But I think one of the things that struck me the most was like the evolution in just a short year.
Yeah.
From the set
in the
evolution.
Beginning, we were like, this podcast is about having unfiltered conversations about mental health.
And
speakeasy.
And we were at a high top table in the middle of a studio with nothing around us.
Yeah.
And then like fast forward a few episodes, we went to Home Sense. Oh my God. I have to share with Mark our Home Sense video for that day because I think that's the day you have the unicorn outfit on.
Yes.
That needs to make its way into this somehow.
Because that was the day that Capture came.
That's the day
Capture's not with us today, but we're on location.
Yeah.
having a little celebration.
It's hard to bring her big ass around places.
That booty.
That
Found
booty.
you, Miss No Booty.
But like, just like the evolution of our set to our own comfortability in front of a camera, you know, it's just been.
And like figuring out like how to have video and audio and make everything sound good, and Diana always sneezing or blowing her nose in the midst of a podcast.
I can't help that.
That's fine. You're a nasally bitch.
I'm a nasally as fuck.
So let's have a cheers.
Cheers. Yes, tell everybody what we're drinking.
Cheers. We are having an orange creamsicle.
Yes.
A California orange creamsicle. And let's all just pretend that this broken nail isn't happening.
Stop pointing out the broken nail. Nobody knows.
I'm just saying. I know. Ooh, this is so good.
So good.
Check out our Easy Sips to get the recipe. This is a super simple one.
It is a super simple one. It's so good. Sometimes all you need is a couple of key ingredients.
Yeah. And a fun cup. Like, what?
A fun cup does make all the difference.
It really does. This is like giving all the party vibes. Are you okay? Is your nose all right?
My nose is leaking to the max, but it's fine. This is how you keep consistency. You keep going no matter what.
You keep going.
No matter what.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
That's right. That's how we made our 26
That's true.
episodes.
That's true, because we definitely have been sick. We definitely have had family emergencies. We've definitely had all the different.
We've had travel. We've had emergency meetings.
Yes.
We've had like all of the things. We've been like, okay, so we're gonna film 2 episodes a day.
Yes.
And we're gonna film 4 episodes this week.
Oh my
so
God.
it'll get us over the next month. And let's hope that nothing major happens in the world, because then we're gonna miss it on the podcast.
It was fun. I mean.
It is.
Yeah. So we've transitioned. If you've been watching us, you've seen us in the studio, and then we've transitioned to StreamYard, which is a more virtual podcasting environment.
Well, and we had a little pause where we were filming
at your house. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And all of that were just little adjustments we needed to make along the way to accommodate our lifestyles, to accommodate the challenges, because there were plenty of challenges with launching a podcast and making our vision come to life. Like, we have always wanted to make sure that it was fun, that it was different than anything else that's out there, and figuring out tech solutions. Like, all of a sudden we know stuff about cameras and microphones and DSLRs and XLRs and everything. Yeah. And it's just been such a wonderful learning experience.
It's been so fun.
It has.
I'm really looking forward to the next year. We have so many plans for the next year, and lots of fun things. And now that we really have a foundation underneath us, having guests coming on.
Yes.
And so if anybody has guests that you would like to see us invite onto the podcast, definitely let us know. You can send us messages on our social media, which is at Easy Speak on Air. Or if you're interested on coming on, and that isn't just, I really want people to know, like, that's not just about like professionals or experts or like I talked about, I feel like a lot in the beginning of our podcast, like people in positions of perceived power. Yeah. Right. It's like, we also are always amplifying like the voices and the experiences of families, youth, parents, grandparents. Like, everybody is touched by mental health in some way. And so we want to have these unfiltered, realistic conversations with everybody and anybody who is willing to come on board and share their story. And I even feel like if there are people who want to come on and maybe they don't want to have their face shown, or, you know, not their name out there, like, we're totally down to do all of that, because you want your story out there, but maybe you don't want to talk specifically about your child and have their name and information out there. And that's something that we totally respect, but we also respect your journey, and that everybody's journey will help somebody else. Yeah, we can totally be incognito about it. Exactly. Like you said, mental health touches everyone. And one thing that we're looking forward to,
I'm really looking forward to this year is launching a kind of talk back feature where people can just leave us comments, thoughts, suggestions on things that they want to talk about, things that they want advice on. So even if you're not feeling like you're ready to commit to being a guest with lights, camera, action, you can still
leave us a little voicemail.
Leave us a little voice note. So be on the lookout for that. We're going to get that all set up this year in 2024. And I think that's going to be really awesome because KG and I are always thinking about what's the next hot topic in mental health. And really, any and everything can be tied back to mental health, but we want to make sure that it's what you want to hear, it's advice, it's information and resources that make sense in the moment in real time for people who are listening and supporting us.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And the last thing that we had, the last episode was our Pearl Roundtable.
Yeah.
Which was amazing.
That was different and that was awesome.
Yeah. And so I think we will definitely have Pearls and other lived experience coaches be a part of our conversations and accessible to everyone who listens to the podcast. So that's really exciting to continue to push that forward. So one of the things that we thought we would talk about were like some of our favorite moments or things that we've talked about like over the course of this past year, or that were like important to us, funny. Well, we did a lot of funny in our short. But yeah, I mean, do you want to start? Or you want me to start?
I mean, listen, every episode was good. To be honest with you, am I going to remember what every episode we talked about? But
you will.
I mean, if we work our way backwards, some of my favorite episodes have been the ones where we've kind of taken ourselves out of the concrete and just like explored the abstract world around us and tied it back to mental health. Because I think one of the things about mental health that continues to be somewhat of a challenge in our society is the fact that it is such a nuanced situation. It is so fluid. It is so kind of elusive in some ways. And, so we talked a lot about like manifestation and the tie back from manifestation to mental health. And we just did an episode on vision boarding. And, I think that really for me, that's like the kind of stuff that excites me. And really one of the reasons why I wanted to get into the mental health space, aside from all the challenges that I saw that I was like, oh, I'm up for that challenge of figuring out how to bridge those gaps and solve it, was just the fact that mental health is not a concrete human experience. It is very nuanced. There are so many forces and so many different factors of human existence that play a role in how we all experience our individual and collective mental health. And so that we can just explore so much with that. And so we had our episode, which was manifesting, mindset, and
mindfulness, manifestation,
and mental health.
Yeah.
And that episode was really fun because I felt like we were able to kind of just explore all of those different concepts while also being sure to tether it to mental health. But, I love the concept, which I think is a very universal concept, that we are all the masters of our own destiny. And, I think it ties back into our perception about mental health, which I feel like has made us so different than any other mental health company, which is that mental health is hopeful. Like if you have a certain perception on mental health, then you're going to be able to build on that to create the life that you want. It's not going to always be easy, but there are techniques and things that you can do to change your life and to improve your mental health. And I just think that that's awesome. So I really enjoyed those episodes where we can be up kind of in the clouds, but still with like a solid tether to like the concreteness of it all.
Yeah. And I think likewise in our Mind Your Faith episode, it was the same thing where, some people I think have this very deeply rooted belief around their faith. And so mindfulness and meditation and these kind of beliefs about like the universe and spirit, and it feels like a little bit against or not in line with their faith. I think we see this all as like one big thing, but everybody has a different approach and a different way that they come to it. And I feel like when we had our Mind Your Faith episode, we talked a lot about the way that people who have close relationships with their faith-based communities or ties to their beliefs really can improve their mental health, knowing that they have a community. And really like learning how to utilize that community to the best of their advantage.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many different ways to look at it. And I just love that about the mental health space. You can get really scientific with it, or you can get really real with it, real life with it, or you can get really like witchy with it, or, there's so many different angles, and all of them are as legitimate as the other, and it it's just amazing.
I think sometimes though, the fact that you can go all these different ways is what brings up some of the challenges that we have and some of the stigmas and some of the, like when we had our podunk pipeline episode where we just talked about like how all of these systems are like just not doing the job that they should be doing to support youth and families and really anybody with mental health needs. I mean, those are the things that I feel like sometimes come up, and like definitely we've seen families get blamed or shamed around like their belief system, right? Like perfect example that always comes right to mind about that is like a family's belief system in their faith around medication. And not wanting their child to be medicated, or saying like, I feel like my child is too young to be medicated for mental health. And a lot of times systems are like, well, that falls under medical care. And if you're not falling under these standards of medical care that have been set forth by whatever white man that came before all of us, then
thanks Christopher Columbus.
Thanks, right? Then like, you are like being neglectful of your child, and like people really not holding true to the fact that parents are the experts on their child. And it's actually, I think, the right thing to do to not just automatically say like, okay, go ahead and like talk about like medicate my child, just do it. Like I think there was definitely a time in this world where parents and families just took the advice of experts like as Bible. And that didn't always play out well. And I think there are definitely times that yes, like we should listen to experts, because these are very well educated people who have spent time, learning all of these things, but also like it's a collaborative effort.
It is.
And there's a lot of things to consider when you're medicating someone or even putting them into treatment. What's the right kind of treatment? Is right treatment now the right time for this kind of treatment?
It's so true. It's so true. And even for myself, we've talked about how we both have come to this work. For me as a medical professional, I still find myself, especially with kids, I'm like, have we tried everything else before we put this kid on medication? Because that's my preference. Because that's not like a pill is not going to fix everything. Mental health is a multifaceted challenge that we all face. And so if we think like a pill is going to fix everything, we're obviously going to be doing a disservice. And it's even more so when we're dealing with developing minds. So,
yeah, absolutely. I think like with my own experience with my son that I've shared a lot about. One of the things that I've always talked with him about is like medications are here to help you to help yourself.
Yes.
You know, like we're not going to be in a situation where like school's hard, let's get a pill.
Yeah.
You know, like okay, school's hard, let's have a conversation about what's making school hard.
Right.
Is there something that could help you to make school easier in the sense that you can now be focused enough or calm enough to access what you need to learn to build the skill set to make school easier for you. And then make an assessment on, is this a medication that needs to be on board over the long term? Or was it something that needed to be on board for the short term to help until that skill set was built and now we don't need it anymore?
Exactly.
And that I think is a conversation that does not happen enough.
Yes.
And people definitely do not have these conversations with families about this.
It's
like
true.
Thinking about medications over the short term, the long term, and how to have that conversation with your kids.
Yeah, it's like the perspective shift. Are you seeing mental health challenges as an opportunity to build skills and to solve a problem and to leverage that for brighter, better future? Or are we seeing mental health challenges as a deficit that we need to fix to make everyone else's life easier? It's two different things. And
like there's nothing worse than when we get a call from a parent that's like, I'm 1,000% sure that everybody is medicating my kid to make everybody else's life easier. Like, no.
And as a psych NP, I remember like people, like teachers, sending notes to me being like, this child needs ADHD medications because I already right there. Wrong.
Yeah.
Rewind.
Yeah.
Because I have to spend so much time redirecting them that I don't have time for the other students. And like
you're like, you should refer them to get testing for an IEP so that they're in the appropriate environment.
I'm like, while I sympathize and empathize, because it's hard to be a teacher, especially nowadays. It's
1,000%
so hard, right? But that is not the answer. It's the answer that's going to help you the most immediately. But as adults, we should be thinking about our kids and their future, not just their right now. How is right now going to shape what happens for them when they're beyond your classroom, when they're in high school, when they're trying to find a job? And if we just give them a pill that they have to take every single day, and sometimes that's necessary because chemical imbalances are real. This is where the scientific aspect lives on, right? We know so much about the brain, we know so much about hormones and neurons and all of that, that we know that there are some people who have a challenge with whatever neurochemical that is designated for specific functioning, that medication can help. And how amazing is that? Right? That's where that Western medicine is like so great. But to just jump to that before we explore all of the other social aspects, before we stop and think, oh, maybe our teachers need a little bit of a different training regimen than the teachers needed in 1970. We might need to update our curriculum a little bit because the way that we experience life and mental health now is completely different than years ago. And it doesn't have to be a better or worse thing. It's just a difference. And so, I mean, I think it's really interesting to kind of like unpack that. And we do a lot of that unpacking with our training and our professional development that we do over the years. We've come up against some really stout educators who are just, they've got their heels dug in. They've been an educator for 30, 40 years, and the
deeply held beliefs,
but I think overall, I'm really excited to see a lot of school systems, because of, I think the pandemic helped, because you can't ignore mental health anymore. You can't just be like, oh, that's just a thing that happens sometimes for some students. It's like we all are dealing with it every day in one shape or form. And how are we responding to it from a humanistic standpoint and from a like, we love you as an individual just because you're human. Like, how are we shaping our response around that?
Definitely. And I think like this would be amazing to talk about in this next year, like having educators that are willing to have these conversations with us, or administrators, or people who are trying to make some of these changes, or at least bring light to them. Because I feel like, one of the things we often talk about is that teachers are in like quite a situation right now, right? Like there's a lot happening with the mental health of students. We knew this like when the pandemic started. We were like out there doing our free lunch and learns,
talking about pandemic trauma.
We were like, let's be anticipatory in our approach, so we can be ready. And everyone was like, why? We'll be back to school in spring. And we were like, I don't know about that, friend.
Don't bank on it.
And so like, we knew that this is what it was going to look like, because there's a lot of pandemics that happen around the world. They just weren't as large as the COVID-19 pandemic. Right. So there's a lot of data and research that we know what it looks like, and what it looks like after. And what it looks like after is exactly what we're facing right now. Kids are struggling, teachers struggling, families are struggling. Everyone's struggling. Everybody has road rage. Like, when's the last time you went out? Like, when is the last time you went down the street to go and get a gallon of milk and 4 people didn't beep at you on the way there? It's like pretty wild. So like, these are the things that I feel like would be really interesting to have conversations about with people who are trying to shine this light on this topic. And as educators and teachers who are under contract, or, there's only a certain amount of advocating that you can do with the people who signed your paycheck. And I think this is something that we always try to like advocate for with educators and different people, is that like, we know that families get frustrated because they feel like teachers aren't always doing enough. But 1, they're overloaded. And 2, like they also have an employer that they have to report to, respond to.
There's testing.
There's just all of these things. And at the end of the day, most of these educators also have their own kids and families that are going through the same thing. And they have to make sure that they're ensuring a paycheck is coming into their house.
And they have the bandwidth to deal with it all.
Right. It's like, how far down the line am I going to advocate for Devontae?
Devontae said,
I like am gonna get like in a place where I lose my job. Like Devontae.
What song is it that goes, Devontae sing?
Jodeci.
Yes, Jodeci! Throwback. Shout out to Jodeci.
Forever, my lady.
Yes.
I'm getting hot.
The first Hot Flash 2024. Jodeci and Devontae.
And the 2024 season has just begun. For the first Hot Flash.
Oh God, we love Jodeci.
Love Jodeci. Love Jodeci. Bring them back. Jodeci. I don't know what they look like now. Bring back the 90s version.
We could get Jodeci as guests, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. We should talk about who we want for guests this year. Let's manifest this shit.
Yes. I want Kanye West.
We already know I want Kanye West.
We want Kanye for different reasons.
Come on, Kanye.
Come on, Kanye. With your cream of wheat.
Drop the album and come promote it on our podcast. Let's go. That's an official invite.
That is 100%.
You will be tagged.
Kanye. I would love to see celebrities who have been advocates around mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking of like Ellen.
Okay, yeah, I'm down with that.
Ellen. Who else? Pete Davidson.
That's all you. No, you didn't say Kanye and Pete Davidson in the same fucking.
I did. He hasn't. They both.
Listen, Skeet. No,
They both
you're
have.
not on there.
They both have different manifestations of the same mental health challenges, which is a
and that manifestation is Kim.
No, she's a symptom. She is not. Anyway, sounds like a clock.
Tick. Yeah, I know.
Tick.
That's going on in my head. It's about to explode.
Who else?
Lady Gaga.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to have Lady Gaga. Not only because
yes,
I feel like all of the things that she does, but she's deeply committed to bringing youth mental health first aid to schools.
Oh, yes.
Which is something that we are also committed to and have faced so many challenges.
Yes, we are literally trained to deliver. Yeah. But yeah, it's really challenging.
Like everyone's like, we need it. And then they're like, we don't have time. We don't have money. We don't have time. We don't have money.
Yeah.
All of the teachers need it so bad.
Yeah. That's literally.
Can you just do it for free?
That's literally it with mental health. We're like, we also have families to feed.
Yeah.
Like,
so I feel like she just has done so much in mental health in general, but really like her foundation is really rooted in mental health. Yes. And she's really committed to youth mental health first aid. And we've really been talking about teen mental health first aid, but you really have to get youth mental health first aid. So there's adults there to support kids that will do that peer-to-peer mental health support. And this is such important work that so many schools need right now.
Yes.
And it's just very difficult to like get the ball rolling. And I think having a guest like Lady Gaga who fully understands it and has such a sphere of like influence and dedication would be such an amazing guest.
Oh my God, I can't wait. Our outfits have to be please come on our podcast. I know. That would be amazing.
Yes.
I would.
Also, I was gonna go and see her. I had my tickets for her Vegas residency.
I remember.
And literally COVID.
But
Stephanie, come to the podcast, Stephanie.
Sorry if you're a fruit fly that's flying around me.
Mr. Miyagi style.
Fruit fly counter.
And then I would love to have I'm drawing a blank on the doctor who wrote the book with Nami.
Dr. Duckworth?
Yes, Dr. Duckworth. I always want to say Danbury, and I don't know where that comes from. Dr. Duckworth about...
He's so great,
Yeah, his book that's all about lived experience.
Yes.
Like professionals and people who work in peer support.
Yes.
And he did it in collaboration with Nami, and it's a very powerful book.
Yeah.
And I would love to chat with him because that's so much of what we do that I feel like we would have such a great conversation and be able to like really kind of like marry some of the different things that we hold dearly.
I had a meeting with Dr. Duckworth and one of his patients one year, and I had no idea who he was until like years later, and I was like,
"You're like local celebrity,
holy!" And I remember like that meeting inspired me to like go on down a psychiatry.
That's your cold.
Really trying to keep
You're doing so good.
I'm trying so hard. The pep talk I gave myself this morning, it should have been recorded. It was a good one. But yeah, I would love to have Dr. Duckworth on. And then I also love having people on who are like on the fringes, who like to talk about things that may be a little controversial.
Yes.
So I would love, as a Black woman who has this conservative values, to have someone like Candace Owens on.
I don't know what she's going to say about mental health, but okay.
I think she has a lot to say about mental health.
I've never heard her talk about mental health.
She does,
Okay.
but from a very faith-based standpoint.
I'm totally down for this.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to cover all the bases.
Yeah.
And that, like, I actually feel like we both feel like we don't want to just have people that are in alignment with what we think here.
Exactly.
It's got to be everyone.
And
everyone has to be a part of this conversation if we actually want to make moves.
That's what I'm saying, is that, like, I feel like my growth and evolution as someone in the mental health field has been equally influenced by the people who I agree with and the people who, the first time I heard them speak, I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
You're like, wait a minute.
Pause. Time out. But you have to have the capacity to listen to people with different points of view and perspectives. And I think that is sorely missing in our society today. People have a really hard time hearing the opposite perspective and point of view and respecting it.
Yeah.
So I would love to have some guests that kind of help us to do that.
Yeah, I totally agree. We have to be able to hear other people's opinions and be in a place where you're not defensive or argumentative, and be able to just take in some information and think about, like, okay, this person has arrived at this belief by way of their very human, very real experience and perspective, and that's valued. Like,
that's valid.
Their life is in their experiences, and their X amount of years that they've been going through this life is not less valuable because they don't agree with what I agree with.
Right.
And I feel like
that's just silly.
In order for us to really bring true light and perspective and unfiltered conversations to this conversation,
right,
and to this podcast, we also have to be pushed.
Yes.
And a lot of times we push each other because we definitely do not agree on a lot of things.
It's true.
We have, like, a lot of core beliefs around, like, people making sure that they get the services that they deserve and, like, all of that kind of stuff. And families and youth and all of that. But the roads to get there, we don't always agree on.
Yes.
And I think that's what makes our, like, relationship and conversations and the way that we think about things very, like, dynamic.
It's true.
And so I look forward to continuing that into, like, this next year.
Yes.
And, like, all of the things that are going to be coming up.
I can't wait. I think it was good that we had a solid year of just us. And I'm really looking forward to, now that we have that foundation, everybody knows us, everybody knows what our thoughts and beliefs are, and we can start introducing some other people into the mix and really just getting people thinking outside of the box. Like, and that's all of it with mental health. That's our whole approach, is you got to be thinking outside of the box. If we're thinking about things the way we thought about things 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago, we're doing a disservice to humanity, to families, and to children.
Yeah.
So
1,000%. Even the fact that we have these little drinks.
I know.
You know what this drink could use?
I feel like I need a cupcake.
Definitely a birthday cupcake.
Birthday cake!
Literally. Like, we've got this little drink with the whipped cream and everything. Like, we've just got to, like, end this thing the right way.
I cannot believe it's been a year of Easy Speak. I am so excited for
the next chapter. It's going to be so fun.
We can pretend there's a flame if there's not a real one.
There's a thing right here.
Oh, there's a flame right here. Oh, yeah, just bring them over. We'll light them.
The gorgeous Allison.
Allison making a debut!
How'd you get your candle out so fast? Dang.
Well, I didn't take it out.
You put your drink down. Oh, I was like, you put your drink down. I never put my drink down.
Happy birthday, Easy Speak!
Cheers! Cheers! Happy birthday. Let's make a birthday wish.
Okay.
Are we supposed to do it inside of our heads?
Yes.
Okay. Let's make it less than 5 seconds long. Okay. Yay! Yay! Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review.
And tell your friends.
Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Tell your friends.
And join us for the year 2 and everything that we are going to go through on the Easy Speak Easy podcast.
Yay!
Bye! Bye!